A small mistake happens, a wrong word is spoken, and before the rational mind can intervene, an aggressive reaction escapes. The anger itself burns out in minutes, but the structural damage it causes to the surrounding environment is permanent. High in a mountain monastery, surrounded by pine trees, a young monk named Kiran established a reputation for absolute dedication. He woke before the sun, studied longer than his peers, and absorbed the teachings with an exceptionally sharp, analytical mind. But the same mental agility that earned him the respect of the senior monks was attached to a deeply reactive tongue. His sharp intellect was paired with an equally sharp capacity to inflict verbal harm. This reaction did not come from calculated cruelty. It functioned as a highly volatile reflex. The slightest friction in his daily life, active as a spark, bypassing his conscious control and instantly igniting a hostile response. When another monk copied his work without permission, Kiran delivered a reprimand so severe it brought total silence to the teaching hall. When a younger student accidentally spilled water on his writings, Kiran's immediate verbal strike forced a student to leave the room in tears. Within minutes, the physiological heat of the anger would dissipate, leaving Kiran completely alone with the heavy, paralyzing weight of remorse. He desperately wanted to avoid hurting his peers, but he lacked the internal braking mechanism to intercept his own reactions. The social ecosystem around him naturally adjusted to the threat. Monks began establishing physical distance. They stopped initiating conversation. Adjacent seats remained consistently empty. Even in the complete absence of malicious intent, an unchecked emotional reflex functions as a slow-moving isolation mechanism. It silently, systematically erodes the social environment a person relies on. On a routine morning, a fellow monk named Prem was carrying a clay water pot across the central courtyard. Prem failed to see a stone step protruding from the edge of the path. His foot caught the stone, sending him pitching forward. The clay pot hit the hard ground and shattered. This specific pot had belonged to Kiran for 4 years, a cherished gift from his very first teacher. Watching from across the courtyard, Kiran immediately erupted. He marched to where Prem was still lying on the ground and delivered a disproportionate, explosive verbal assault. His voice echoed across the open space, loud enough for the entire monastery to hear. Prem offered zero verbal defense. He simply gathered the broken clay shards in absolute silence, stood up, and walked away without making eye contact. The physical loss of the object was absolute. As the echo faded, Kiran's anger collapsed into desperation. That evening, he sought out the old master in the back rooms of the monastery, begging to understand the mechanics of his own mind. He needed to know why his temper moved faster than his ability to suppress it. Kiran now faced a reality far more damaging than the broken clay. His own destructive mechanism had become entirely autonomous. The master listened, said nothing, and led Kiran into the sensory confinement of the kitchen. He instructed Kiran to focus entirely on a single closed system, a large pot of water suspended over a central fire. As the fire fed thermal energy into the container, the physical escalation became visible. The water absorbed the heat, shaking the pot and forming turbulent waves across the surface. The agitation quickly reached a critical threshold. The kinetic energy of the water exceeded the physical volume of the container, forcing the boiling liquid to violently breach the rim. In this 2D schematic, escaping water doesn't project outward. Gravity pulls it down onto the heat source, shrinking the fire. Notice the resulting state: 2 permanent losses. The water volume has decreased, and the foundational fire is measurably reduced. Within a closed thermal system, a reactive overflow offers no benefit. It permanently diminishes both the container's internal resources and the foundational energy source required to sustain it. The mechanics of human anger operate under the exact same physical rules as that boiling pot. This logic chart illustrates the psychological illusion of an emotional outburst. When internal heat builds up, we naturally assume our anger acts as a forward projectile. We visualize a horizontal strike aimed directly at the external target that frustrated us. But the mechanical reality operates differently. The released energy never reaches the external target. Instead, the force curves sharply downward, impacting and eroding the structural base sitting directly beneath our own position. That base consists of highly tangible resources: the trust of peers, chosen physical proximity, and social warmth. Every single outburst permanently shrinks that foundation, leaving the individual depleted and unsupported. The net mathematical result of the reaction is complete inefficiency, zero external gain, coupled with a total reduction of internal resources. For Kieran, those eroded structures were not abstract. They were Prem silently picking up broken clay. They were the younger student leaving the room with wet eyes. They were the empty dining tables that surrounded him every evening. Uncontrolled anger fails entirely as a weapon against others. It is an act of systematic self-sabotage that extinguishes the warmth required for our survival. Evaluate the heat in your own life. Are you letting your reactions spill over onto your own foundation? Tell us in the comments if you are learning to keep your water in the pot. And if this breakdown helped map out your own reactions, please like and share it to save someone else from extinguishing their fire today.